How to knit my first blanket. Have you ever wanted to make a big chunky blanket? Then this project is for you. It's so easy. In this tutorial, we will take you through entire process step by step from beginning to end. This blanket can be made in different sizes. You can get a free pattern for this blanket on our website. It's a free download. Let's get started. For materials, we're going to use Loopy Mango Merino number 5 yarn, or you can alternatively use any super chunky yarn. Merino number 5 is 100% merino wool, and you can read other information on the label such as dye lot, yardage, and weight. This blanket comes in different sizes. We will be making the biggest size and refer to the pattern for the cast on for different sizes. But the pattern itself is the same no matter what size you make. For needles, we are going to use size 19, which is 15 millimeter. And we will be using a circular needle 32 inches in length. We're not knitting in the round, we're knitting flat, but we need a longer circular needle just so we can fit all the stitches. So there's two ways to pull the yarn from the ball. You can pull it from the inside or from the outside. Pulling the yarn from the inside of the ball is great because the ball of yarn doesn't move around, it stays in one place. If, on the other hand, you start pulling it from the outside, the ball moves around. This is the only difference. So if you have a preferred way, you can pull it from inside or outside, whichever way you find easier. So see, the ball stays in one place and doesn't move. We're going to start by making a slip knot. This is the easiest way to do a slip knot. Let's see it again. You make a cross and take the long end, the tail end, and put it through the loop. Then take the needle and put the slip knot onto the needle and adjust. Don't pull it too tight, so this would be too tight, no. And you don't want it to be too loose either. That slip knot should be able to freely move on your needle. And now we're going to cast on. This casting on method is called backward loop. This is one of the easiest methods to cast on. So you simply wrap the yarn around your hand and you put it on the needle. For this project, you can use any cast-on method. This one is the easiest one. And don't pull the yarn too tight and don't leave it too loose either. The stitches should be able to move on the needle freely. We're making the biggest size in this video, and if you're making a different size, refer to the pattern for the number of stitches to cast on. And once the needle fills up the wooden part, you can slip the stitches down the needle onto the cable. To make this size blanket, you need a needle at least 32 inches in length. If you have a longer needle, that will work just fine. And keep casting on until you have enough stitches for the size that you're making. When you're done casting on, count the stitches. It's a great idea to count twice. so that if you made a mistake, you can catch it right away. And when you are finished casting on and you have the right number of stitches, you simply flip the needle and you push the stitches to the tip. So that long end of yarn, this is our working yarn. Then you take the other needle and you hold it in your right hand. We will be using a stitch called rib stitch, and it's a 2x2 rib. We start with knitting 2 knit stitches. Insert the needle, yarn over, pull it through the loop, and take it off the needle. That's our first knit stitch, followed by another knit stitch. Done exactly same way. So 2 knit stitches, followed by 2 purl stitches. Make sure you put the yarn in front to set it up for the purl stitch. Purl, followed by another purl stitch. See, the yarn stays in front for the second purl. Now we're going to do 2 knit stitches, so the yarn needs to go in the back. Knit, and then another knit stitch. And repeat. So we're going to do 2 purl stitches. Yarn goes in the front, purl, yarn stays in the front, another purl, and then now yarn goes in the back for the knit stitch. Knit, yarn stays in the back, we have 1 more knit to go, knit. Now we're doing 2 purl stitches again, so the yarn is going to go in the front, and keep moving the stitches along on the left needle. So see, you can see the beginning of that rib pattern. So those little bumps mean that there's 2 purl stitches, and when the line just goes straight down, that's a knit. So 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl. When you have more rows knitted, you will be able to see that rib stitch much better. We're doing 2 purls, followed by 2 knits. If you've never done a knit stitch or purl stitch or rib stitch before, we have separate video tutorials for all of these stitches in our YouTube knitting library. And you keep repeating this pattern of 2 knits and 2 purls until you get to the end of this row. So just keep going until you get to the end of the row. We're almost at the end here. Just a few more stitches to go. Last 2. You should be ending with 2 knit stitches. If you're not, it means you made a mistake somewhere. So we're finished. Be careful not to accidentally connect the round. We're not knitting in the round, we're knitting flat. So when you're done, we're going to flip like so. So you flip, and we're going to start knitting our next row. So we finished row number 1. We're now starting on row number 2. And be careful that you don't accidentally start knitting with your tail end. And you can see that now we're going to start with 2 purls. We're going to purl the purls, Those are pearls. Those little bumps designate the pearls. So your even numbered rows are going to start with purl stitches, and your odd numbered rows are going to start with knit stitches. And with every row, you can clearly see the pattern better and better. So be careful, do not try to accidentally start knitting with the tail end. So you can put it in the back like this, and we'll be working with the long tail, so the one that connects to the yarn, the working yarn. We're starting with 2 purl stitches, purl. See how the yarn stays in front. Yarn has to stay in front for the purl stitch, and then put it in the back to do a knit stitch, a knit stitch, and then another knit stitch. And we are doing 2 purl stitches. The yarn goes in front, purl, and then another purl. We're done with purls, so the yarn goes to the back, and we're going to do 2 knit stitches. Knit, yarn stays in the back, another knit stitch, yarn goes in the front, 2 purl stitches, purl, and then another purl, and so on. You see that the second row is exactly the same as the first, except instead of starting with 2 knit stitches, we started with the purl stitches. So we alternate. Odd numbered rows start with a knit, and even numbered rows start with a purl. Otherwise, the pattern is the same. You alternate 2 knit stitches with 2 purl stitches, and just keep going. We're now at the end of the second row. You should be finishing second row with 2 purl stitches, exactly how we started. We started row 2 with 2 purl stitches, and we're ending on 2 purl stitches. We're done, and now we flip. So we're going to flip. Row number 3 is exactly the same as row number 1. So see how the pattern is looking more and more prominent here? The purls, the 2 purls followed by the 2 knits. See that kind of letter V means it's a knit, and those little bumps are purls. So for a rib stitch, we knit the knits and we purl the purls. So it means you don't necessarily even need to know if it's an odd numbered rows or even numbered row. If you see a purl, then you purl it. Purl, purl. And if you see a V, it means it's a knit. So you need to knit it. Knit, knit. 2 purls. See those bumps? Those are purls. Purl, purl. Next, we have the 2 V's. Knit, knit. And you keep going and you keep repeating this pattern until you're almost done with the blanket. You just need to leave enough yarn for casting off. So just keep knitting until we're done, until you have enough yarn to cast off. And so this is what our blanket looks like. How do you know how much yarn to leave for cast off? To be safe, you want to leave about 4 times the width of your blanket. So just keep an eye on how much yarn you have left. And then you just want to make sure to measure out 4 times the width, and then you stop knitting and you start casting off. Of course, if you're making a bigger blanket, you will need more yarn. And this is how you kind of do it. So you go like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have 4 times. And then if you still have more yarn, so to knit a row takes about 3.5 times the width. For cast off, you want to use a little bit more, so then you can kind of measure out and see, oh, maybe you still have enough yarn to do some more rows. Let's see how cast off works. We're going to cast off in patterns, so if you were just doing another row, you would be doing 2 purl stitches here. So you do 2 stitches. It doesn't matter whether it's knit or purl, depending on where you stop. And then you see you just pull the yarn over one of the stitches, right? So next should be a knit stitch, because it's a 2x2 rib, so you just follow what you've been doing. So you have 2 stitches on the needles and you pull it over, and so you get rid of 1 stitch. Again, next should be a knit stitch, so you do that knit and then you take 1 stitch and pull it over the other one. So let's see more of a close-up. Next is a purl stitch. So 2 stitches on the needle, cast off. Next one is a purl stitch. 2 stitches on the needles, cast off. And that's all there is to it, and you just keep doing it until the end. One important thing to keep in mind, make sure don't cast off too tight. So you should have like nice tension going there, and go a little bit looser than you normally would be knitting. That would be my recommendation, and just keep checking to make sure that edge looks nice and even. See, if you cast off too tight, it's gonna get like all bunched up. So in this case, everything looks fine. But if you notice it getting a little bit tighter, you need to loosen up or redo your cast off. So you always want to have 2 stitches on the right needle, right? So you do 1 more, cast off. If casting off in pattern, meaning the 2x2 rib is too, if you find it too complicated, you can do all knit stitches. That's okay too. It will look a little bit nicer if you do in pattern. Your edge will look cleaner, but it's not the end of the world if you do cast off using only knit stitches. So we're getting close to the end here, just a few stitches left. We're almost done. There are different ways to cast off. This is one of the easier ones, but if you have a preference, you can definitely cast off using a different method, but this one is pretty easy and it gives you a clean edge. Okay, so we are down to our last stitch and we are ready to cut the yarn. So you can leave a few inches for weaving it in. If you're a little bit nervous, you can always leave a little bit longer tail. Then you cut the yarn. But make sure you're happy with your edge. If you think it's too tight, do not cut the yarn in case you have to redo your cast off. So then you secure it like so. So just pull it through that loop so it's nice and secure. And now you can weave it in. So basically you're just hiding it in between the stitches. We have other videos that show you more of the finishing in case you wanted to use a felting needle to completely secure the tail. You can watch that video. But basically that's all you do. You just hide it in between the stitches, and you do the same thing with the other tail end from your cast on. And we're done. So this is our finished blanket. It's very so soft and so chunky, and it feels amazing. And this is such a nice stitch to use, the 2x2 rib. If you want those ribs to be more narrow, you can do a 1x1. You can do, if you want to do wider, you can do 3x3, 4x4. You may just need to adjust the number of stitches to cast on, but look how chunky and nice it is. So cozy. We have many different colors you can choose from. So this is called Polar Bear. It's basically like an off-white ivory. It really just goes with everything, and it's such a nice color. And this one, of course, is also very pretty. It's called Café con Leche. It's a beige. And this blanket is a little bit smaller in size. So for this, you would need 8 balls of merino number 5. For the white one, you need 16. And there's also one size in between for 12 balls. And we have some children and baby size blankets. So this is done in Rococo Pink, and this is a children's size, and you can get the exact dimensions from the pattern. So how cute is this for a child? And you can also do a smaller baby blanket. This color is Rococo Blue, and it's just so cute. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and we have a lot more video tutorials for you on Loopy Mango YouTube channel.